All right, today look at this. We're going to talk about how one dealer is marking up this Land Cruiser 250, the McLandcruiser, or the Half Cruiser, as it's known here in America, marking it up $15,000 in extras. So the MSRP on this thing is, 78 grand. And then they're adding 15K in crap and nonsense to mark the price up to 100K out the door with taxes and other nonsense and things like that. So we're going to kind of talk about what's going on here and how, there's better values out there, unbelievable values if you actually think about it. So yeah, these new trucks today are Louis Vuitton purses for men. Someone had to say it. But that's what it is. You're looking at a Louis Vuitton purse here. It cost $2,030 for your Louis Vuitton bag. And it's a ridiculous price because to the pretentious peasant woman, it serves as a faux status symbol. In other words, it's an attempt for the peasant to appear that she has more value or more social status or more whatever pretentious metric you want to put on your life through a material object. It gives that illusion to strangers. That's the attempt here. And that's the exact attempt here as well. That's what the dealer here is trying to exploit. The dealer here is obviously greedy, but there's science behind this, or at least logic, I should say, behind this. And that is, like with the Louis, this dealer here knows that the buyer of this is not going to off-road it. Now, that's not saying people don't want to buy these and off-road it. It's saying the first batch of buyers that are willing to buy this thing and line up and get it right off the bat, they're not going to be the ones that are going to, hey, I want to off-road this thing. They're going to be the pretentious types that just want to pose or put on a front or be pretentious, phony. They want a Louis bag on four wheels, 4x4 Louis Vuitton purse. To drive around the city or the town and say, look at me, I have value, I have money, I am not a peasant, I didn't buy this with debt, I'm not in debt up to my ears, I'm not underwater in debt, I'm not living a lie. Like these fake YouTube videos, I bought every 2 months. Playing a Ponzi game on yourself. So if we look on the outward side of things, and you go, what are they adding here? Premium window tint, all-terrain tires for $5,000. Window tint for $3,000. Something ceramic for $4,000. A windshield warranty for $3,000. It doesn't even make any sense. It's just 15K of markups in order to get those people who are so desperate to have the latest and greatest and newest and will have a panic attack if strangers who don't matter in their life, if a stranger sees you with a car that's more than 8.2 months old, they're going to have an absolute panic attack, hyperventilate, and melt like the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz. Now, we'd like to think that this sort of crap died in the 80s. That's when this whole, oh, look at me, I drive a BMW, I'm going to the shore, and I'm going to live a wealthy lifestyle full of adventures and luxury and comfort. We'd like to think that this sort of phoniness sprang up in the 80s and it died in the 80s. And this whole rat racing of having a car to present one's quote-unquote social status As if that's not the most asinine, pretentious, phony, ridiculous concept ever. We like to think this sort of nonsense died, but it didn't. It may have went down a little bit in the 90s and 2000s. There might have been some ups and downs. But now it's in full swing again. And ironically, it's switched from cars like this BMW. I drive a BMW. It went from BMWs, and now, ironically, it's in SUVs. Weird stuff like Toyotas and pickup trucks and Lexus SUVs. And this is the proof right here. This is not marketed towards the pragmatic or practical buyer or the enthusiast buyer who wants to go off-road for real. This is marketed at the person who just needs to, for whatever reason, display some sort of proof that they are of high socioeconomic value to, again, complete strangers that don't matter anyway. In other words, it's insanity. But that's what people are. So we have an insane price down here for insane people. This woman needs to carry a Louis Vuitton because she's secretly in debt. She went to law school and she graduated when she was like 25 years old, 26 years old. But now she's 45 years old and she still has about $1 million in compounded debt from her law school debt. So deep down, she's actually a debt slave. She's actually negative value, negative socioeconomic status. The homeless person outside of Starbucks with $0 in his pocket has more than this person here with negative $5,000 in their pocket every month because that's how much they owe the bank each month. It's a very, very, very sad and stressful life for this person. So how does this person cope with a negative $5,000 balance in her lifestyle every single month? Especially if she has a high socioeconomic status and a professional degree. How does one cope with the mental gymnastics of having done all the, quote, right things in life and, quote, on paper, should have a high socioeconomic blah, blah, blah status, but the bank account says that she's a debt slave? Oh, I know. The solution is here. Get a Louis Vuitton purse that costs $2,030. That way, when you go to work and when you walk outside, people will look at you and say, you're not in debt. You're not a debt slave. You don't have negative equity, negative value. You don't have slave status. You have king status. You have a Louis Vuitton. You must be rich. Yep. Same exact thing going on here. Now, of course, this doesn't just apply to Toyotas. It is the sick human obsession, especially in America, of using material objects to mask one's true identity. And the insanity, the need to not be found out for being what the person truly is, a debt slave. That need is so great that they're actually willing to get into even more debt just to prove that they're not in debt. So this sort of Ponzi game on oneself is like a snowball effect. It's just debt snowball rolling downhill into a bigger debt snowball in hopes of fooling somebody. Now you're actually going to see Lexus GX 550s cheaper. I've said this for years now, and this is the Lexus GX phenomena. The next Lexus GX anomaly, paradox, paradigm, whatever you want to call it. Okay? This GX550 in Southern California here, these are legit prices. This is not the this is what they're selling for here in Southern California. This is cheaper than that Land Cruiser 250 marked up to $90,000. The more capable GX is cheaper. It's cheaper because, ironically, people don't think that these are as pretentious as the Land Cruiser. Now, even though it's more capable, blah, 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 and you might think, well, it's a Lexus, it should be more pretentious. Isn't a Lexus pretentious, blah, blah, blah? It depends on the marketing. It depends on what the buyer thinks is the most posy, pretentious thing at the time. You know? The thing about the GX is it's always been stealth. That's what I like about it. Nobody gets in your business. When we got our GX, we don't have to worry about anybody coming up to us being, yeah, you paid that much for your SUV? Why? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Let me get in your business, blah, blah, blah. It's just stealthy. It doesn't say anything on it. It just said nothing. So the GX was always stealthy. So this is our GX. It looks just like this before we, did a bunch of crazy, cut the bumper and stuff. Anyway, the point is, it's the GX has always been stealthy. Non-pretentious. It doesn't say V8 on the back. It doesn't say Land Cruiser Prado on the back. It doesn't say full-time four-wheel drive. It doesn't say TRD Pro on the back. It just looks like a regular soccer mommy mobile, which is why people called it a soccer mommy mobile. But that lack of pretentiousness and stealth is why it was such a great value. When we bought this thing, there was a Toyota dealer across the street that marked up a TRD Pro of the previous year for $80,000 in 2021 money. Where this thing, they wanted sticker price. They couldn't mark it up because it wasn't pretentious. So you're seeing the same thing now. You're getting a Lexus GX550 here. Here's an Overtrail. Now remember, these are the final prices, and yes, I know this might be marked up over MSRP to some factor, but not the same factor as the Land Cruiser 250, the McLandcruiser that we just saw. And you go, why? Why is this thing now? This Overtrail Plus for $80K here is cheaper than this thing here, where they want $92K for a 4-cylinder turbo in here. No KDSS, no AVS, no luxury. The list goes on. I can't even. Why is this thing, which is the closest thing to Land Cruiser GR Sport in America, Land Cruiser 300 GR Sport in America, why is it cheaper? The pretentious factor. This doesn't scream, look at me. Oh, he has a Land Cruiser. You drive this thing, I know it looks pretty, blah, 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 but this just says Lexus GX. Nobody cares. Nobody goes, what's a GX? It just is what it's just two letters. It's not pretentious. So you're going to have the better value. That's what I'm rambling here in your GX. So how long will this effect last? How long will this nonsense last? Until it's whatever the market will bear. We live in America, so whatever the market will bear. And pretentious, phony people is a market. People desperate to show off is a market. That's a thing. That's a cultural, social, sociological, psychological phenomena in America. You've seen on YouTube fake, I boughta. Every 2 weeks, I boughta. Fake, I boughta, YouTubers pretending they're buying a car all the time. It's an insanity. They didn't really buy it. They're just juggling loans. Again, Ponzi games on themselves. And hopefully there won't be any existential crises when that when that game of debt musical chairs. Once the music stops on that game, I don't want to be around to watch that because it's not going to be pretty. when the music stops and there's nowhere to sit down because you've bought quote, I bought a new car every 2 months, and you have a giant string of loans behind you that you're just, I don't want to see it. I don't, la 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 la. I'm rich. I'm wealthy. I'm rich. I'm going to the beach. La 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 la. So what does this mean to you as the pragmatic, logical buyer? If you can wait through all this hype, you're going to get a better value again in your Lexus GXs. And will these Land Cruisers come down? It's really hard to tell. You know, the dealers are being greedy, but they also know it says Land Cruiser across the back, which can be viewed as something that's pretentious and enables the buyer to quote-unquote display their pseudo-wealth, like the Louis Vuitton purse. What they're paying for is this badging right here that says Land Cruiser. So the markups have direct correlation to this Land Cruiser badging. Now, to people off-road, this is not pretentious, it's just what it is. But to people buying these for pretentious reasons, this Land Cruiser badging means more than something that says Lexus or GX or nothing at all on the back. So, of course, all the markups on this Land Cruiser 250, this $14,000 in markups, is just nonsense. They're not really adding this, or if they did, obviously it doesn't cost as much. It's just truly a quote-unquote market adjustment meant to adjust the market for pretentious buyers. And since that is a strong and healthy market in America, that's what it's going to be. And until people, meaning buyers, buy these things for pragmatic and practical reasons, the markups will continue. A lot of people like to blame the greedy dealer. Look at all these markups, they're greedy. But who's greedy? The dealer or the pretentious buyer? Who's to blame? It takes two to tango. You have to have a buyer of these things. And so we know what the dealer's doing. They're marking it up. So then we have to ask, well, who in the world is paying for this sort of thing? And the answer, again, is this. This type of person is paying these ridiculous markups because the psychological need to prance around and pose and to display fake wealth to other fake people in the fake Olympics, since that is a thing, then therefore it becomes a market. And this is what it is. So it's bad news for people who have been eyeing these things for pretentious reasons. But hey, to them, the price of admission, that drug it might be worth the price of the drug is what I'm trying to ramble. Because if it makes the buyer feel better, and it makes them feel less indebted, and it makes them feel more socially validated, and all this other silliness that they're obsessed with, then it's going to be worth the price of admission to them, and the prices will remain high. These trucks and SUVs used to be the least pretentious type of thing on the market back in the day. But now they're the most pretentious thing on the market today. So trucks definitely did a 180 from being the most pragmatic, practical vehicle you could buy to this Louis Vuitton wrist purse, literally. With it, I go on and on about these pickup trucks with their little, 3-foot beds in the back. But they've become pretentious items, and that's where the market is at. So there's two to blame, the dealer and the buyer. So what happens from here? How long is this going to last? Is this going to be forever? Or is the majority of the market priced out of these things because of pretentious buyers? Yes and no. The yes part of it is the pretentious people are always going to be the early adopters. The peasants have been programmed to value newness over actual value. So pretentious people that need to pose they're going to value newness. So there's going to be a newness factor. They've been programmed. New. It's new. New for 2024. New for 2025. New for 2026. New. Okay? That's what the peasantry has been programmed and engineered to value. They don't value actual utility, actual wealth, actual function. It is newness. That's what they value. So once this newness factor wears off, you're going to see the prices go down. In other words, just wait a few years and these things will potentially be at retail. However, there's still the factor of marketing, and marketing is a thing. And marketing is manipulating people into thinking something has greater value than it does, even if it's pretentious value. So TRD in the Toyota lineup, particularly the TRD Pros, have been a cash cow for Toyota. And if they can continue with that marketing and people buy into it, the prices are going to continue to be high. So if you're in this gotta be new, gotta have the newest, and you fall for the marketing, you're going to pay the highest price. Hence the love affair with Lexus. My love affair with Lexus. The reason why I and most people like Lexus, as it relates to what I'm rambling about here, is because, believe it or not, Lexus, it started out being very pretentious back in the late 80s, early 90s with the Lexus flagship LS sedan. That was a pretentious marked up thing. And even then it was considered a value compared to the Mercedes that it was going against at the time. It's the Mercedes and the BMWs. But anyway, today, Lexus is ubiquitous, but it's conservative. Lexus is almost like what Toyota used to be. It's conservative, it's nonchalant, it's non-pretentious, it's well built, and because of that, it's these days it's at MSRP or around MSRP. But relatively speaking, again, this GX offers you way more than that Land Cruiser 250, the McLandcruiser that we're looking at, that's marked up to 100K. And you go, why? How is that possible? Because again, this does not scream pretentiousness. It doesn't have any pretentious reputation going for it. So therefore, all of this is fascinating to watch, because I never would have guessed back in the day that Toyotas would be marked up more than Lexuses. But like our experience with the GX460, it's a very, very low-key vehicle. And since it's a low-key vehicle and a non-pretentious vehicle, the least amount of markups are going to be applied to these Lexuses. So what I'm rambling, and as any takeaway today, and I'm sure you already catch my drift, is if you're in the market for a Land Cruiser 250, aka McLandcruiser, please consider Lexus. You're going to get the better value when in their new generation of vehicles here. People said months ago, wait till those Lexus GX550s hit the dealer floor, they're going to be marked up like crazy. And I said, not so, because there's a million gazillion trucks on this TNGAF platform that this GX550 shares, and they're all being dumped on the market at once. Wait until that Land Cruiser 250 comes out, and wait until the 2025 4Runner comes out. Those things are going to be marked up like crazy, and this is going to be the little conservative, sweet thing over here that everybody's going to forget about. And just like the GX460, the marketing on those other vehicles is going to be so heavy-handed and so effective that people are going to actually think that this GX550, even in the overtrail trim, is the inferior or least capable or less capable vehicle, when the polar opposite is true. Yeah, wait till this thing hits the lots. The 2025 TRD 4Runner, the marketing is going to be so insane on this, you'll probably see these things retailing for 120. So, what does this mean to you again? And I know I'm rambling, I'm saying the same thing over and over, but you got to realize that the Lexus is going to be a steal, because the Toyota marketing, insofar as the pretentious masses go, is going to be so hyped up that nobody is going to be able to see that the Lexus GX550 is the greater value, or the Lexus LX600 as well. Yeah, the LX600. Now here it is marked up to 133. But these things are nice. But what you're going to see, and this is my point, you're going to see these LX600s current year, so 25 LX600 to 25 Toyota 400 TRD Pro, you're going to see these staying at around MSRP. But, they still might be marked up because this is the Lexus's flagship SUV. You know what I'm saying? There's more luxury and crap in this, and this is the, quote, top tier model. But still, in comparison to the 25 4Runner, you'll probably see this going for 125, this LX600 in 2025, and you also see the 2025 TRD4 4Runner marked up to the same exact price as well, despite this thing having way more. So, if there's one takeaway from this video, if you're the type of person who has a panic attack unless you have the newest, latest, and greatest, Toyota of Carlsbad is coming for you. Toyota's coming for you. The marketers are coming for you. You have to control that. You got to dig deep. You got to, see a psychologist, whatever you got to do. But if you need to have the latest and greatest, you're going to pay for it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's a market for that. We know that because Louis Vuitton has been around forever. But if you're not in that market, you're not that type of person, don't think at all that you need to pay top dollar over here for something that is inferior. If you use your intelligence, you'll find a greater value elsewhere.